Greetings, everybody, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back on day number 23 for our series that we're running called the Progressive Rock Solo Artist Album Wars. For those of you who are new, haven't seen any of this, basically my subscriber Ben put together a band battle, I guess you might want to call it, or an album war, I guess is probably a better term, in which he's picked 32 albums from artists who belong to progressive rock bands but are making solo albums here. And he put 32 bands together. He put them in 16 battles in the first round. We are now coming close to the end of the second round. We have two more artists today, and what I do is I listen to the two albums. This is actually my second time listening to both albums, and I give my opinions about them talk a little bit about both albums, and then I decide which one I think is the better album that's going to go on to the next round. Pretty much sums it up. So the two albums we've chosen, or he's chosen today to do battle, are Alan Holdsworth's Metal Fatigue from 1985 and Tony Banks' Curious Feelings from 1979. Both of these are pretty good albums, I have to admit. The Tony Banks album has that little bit of that Genesis sound to it, but it's more stripped down. It's not as much drum parts. There's drum parts, but they're not as sophisticated. I think the whole album itself is kind of a toned down version of a progressive rock album. Although his keyboards on this are very good, especially the piano, I really enjoyed quite a bit. The vocalist, I'm not as keen on him. I'm not sure why. It's just something in his voice doesn't resonate as well with me as some of the other things do. But pretty solid album overall. I think it's one of those albums that more listens to it will bring out more of it that will interest me more. I think that's pretty characteristic of most progressive rock music. The more I listen to it, the more I like it, tends to be the thing. Sometimes that doesn't happen, but for the most part, that's generally what happens. Whereas any other genre, it's usually, especially metal and hard rock, even some bluesy stuff, tends to hit me instantly, but then fades with time, and then you find out whether it has any kind of staying power or not, right? But that's generally how the two things work. With the progressive stuff, it takes me a little bit longer, but I generally end up liking it more than I do the other stuff. Anyways, Alan Holdsworth's album is called Metal Fatigue here. This is primarily a jazz album, I think. A little bit of jazz fusion, maybe a little bit of rock here, but I wouldn't go out on a limb and say that this is a rock album. I don't think it is. I think its leanings are more towards a jazz album. His guitar, however, is absolutely fantastic on this. This is a guy I, of course, heard about years ago when I was younger, but I never pursued a lot of things people would tell me about because you only have so much time, especially when you're young and you want to do 1,000 other things, right? You don't have as much time to do that. So it was and plus he wasn't mainstream. He wasn't, when I went into the record store, it was to buy rock albums, and I only had so much money, so that's what I bought. I didn't buy anything that was outside of that realm. And so I never really got into him until I think one of the other album wars we had, I think it was just the Progressive Rock Album Wars. Maybe it was the Great Album War. I'm not sure which one. But he gave me an album from the progressive rock band UK. That was my first encounter with Alan Holdsworth's music. And I thought, well, this is really good, right? And I'm a huge Steve Howe fan. So when I'm listening to Steve Howe, anybody who comes in conflict with him, I tend to be a little bit defensive about. And I think I had a little bit of that with him. But once I realized that he's just another guitar player, and all guitar players love great guitar players, not being one myself, I have to assume that that's the case. Anyways, This guy is fantastic. I was so intrigued by this particular album. I went online and was listening for live bits by him, and I was amazed how good he is. He's such a good guitar player. It's definitely a guy that I will be looking more into in the future. Anyway, so for today I had to choose which one of these two albums I liked more. So I think the Tony Banks one for me will grow as time goes on, but unfortunately it's not going to get that chance here because I just think this Alan Holdsworth album, even though it's a jazz album, I just think the guitar part, I just love it. I just think it's fantastic, and I think that this is the guy I would like to hear another time, so he's going to go through to the next round to make the quarterfinals, and Tony Banks is out. So there you have it. I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you did, please hit the like below, hit the subscription button. It's much appreciated. Any comments about either of the artists, you can leave that in the comment section below as well. And I will upload this one immediately because it's late. Didn't get home till late last night and didn't get up early enough to have this out on time. I apologize for that. It will be out now as soon as I'm done here. And I'm testing my new mic too. That's part of the reason why there's a delay. But anyways, we will see you tomorrow with the last episode of this round. And looks like it's going to be a strong one. So hopefully you can come in and see that. And if you want to be notified by it, please hit the notification bell. So take care and have yourself a good day and a good night. Bye.